Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. This is ExtraTyne, your week at a glance at Newcastle United. As ever, I'm joined by my co-host Laura.
Hello.
We've got a bit of a positive podcast this week, Laura.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I'm staying positive. I am.
Yeah, staying positive. We'll have a little dip at the start, and then we'll get into the positivity, I think. We're also joined this week by the lovely James. Thanks for coming on, James.
Pleasure.
And we're also joined by Keith.
Nice to meet you. No problem at all.
Thanks very much for joining us, Keith. So we'll just get straight in. We want to start on a bit of a serious note. Basically, what we found out today is Steve Bruce has been receiving death threats and abuse and all sorts, and we just want to condemn it basically and just say that if you're watching this now and you're one of those, just stop. Like, the football is a massive part of all of our lives and we'll love it, but not to the point where we are abusing. At the end of the day, he's a human being. Yes, we might not want him in the job. I don't want him in the job, but would I wish harm on the man? I absolutely wouldn't. Laura, how do you feel about the comments that we've heard today?
Well, I know we were just saying before you hit record that Roger had asked if there was going to be any rants, and I feel like I just need to get it off my chest. I think it's unjustifiable. I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinion. I'm still paying my season ticket. I think you are as well, James. And we're allowed our opinion on his job and what he's doing as his job. Once you get personal, it's just far too far. I mean, we're all accountable in my job and we all have to answer questions. But once it becomes personal, it's just unacceptable to threaten him. And it's just that uneducated, absolute morons who are just doing it for attention and a reaction. And it'll be the same people that at the match are just shouting, shite. And then you say, right, well, why? And then they can't back it up because they're uneducated. They haven't got a clue. They're just abusing people for no reason. It's just, I'd be ashamed if I knew any of them personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, if you don't mind, I'm going to come to you next because I'm sure we've all seen your tweets today, and for reasons unbeknown to all of us, you've also been on the receiving end of abuse. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, I'm just going to say, for me, it's difficult because you get a lot of that stuff all the time, and if I'm honest with you, it doesn't really has a big effect on me. You just you brush it off, you just move on. Now, whether that be, obviously, the one I highlight today was from, I think, a couple of Sunderland fans. I've had it from Newcastle fans as well. I've had it from Middlesbrough fans. I've had it from supporters of teams in Scotland since I've moved down here and maybe covered one of their games or whatever. And it doesn't bother me, but I just felt today, with so much being said from Steve and us at Sky Sports, we've got a big campaign at the moment to try and rid everything of online hate, and we're talking about it a lot. And I'd got a few messages late last night from a few supporters due to something I'd said on Twitter. And really weirdly, the actual comment that I made that brought about the response from the couple of Sunderland fans that I highlighted was actually just a kind of joking response from me. Not even joking, it was almost me trying to sort of be a little bit understanding about their plight. And I put a little sad face emoji on it. And it just shows how, to me, how things can be picked up wrongly by whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on text message, whatever. And I was really shocked last night at the amount of replies I got to something where I was actually trying to show a little bit of understanding to what the Sunderland supporters are going through just now. I mean, I'm covering the Sunderland match on Saturday. First time I've been there for a year or so. And by the way, I've not been at a Newcastle game for nearly a year as well due to COVID. I'm looking forward to going. But I think when a team isn't doing well, and that's Sunderland right now, they're looking for a reason to lash out. Now, I think for you guys, a few weeks ago when things weren't going so well, before results picked up a little bit, it would have probably been the Newcastle supporters giving abuse. Now, as I say, that doesn't bother me at all, but I just felt with everything being talked about, I just thought I'm just going to go through my mentions and what was the last piece of abuse I had, and that was it. And it was literally just last night, so I thought, I'm just going to tweet this out there. In fact, I wasn't going to, and I spoke to a couple of mates and they said, yeah, you should do that because this is the exact time that we should highlight things like this. So that's why I decided to do it. I'm not upset, I'm not bothered, I'm not thinking about it, but I know, and as I said in my subsequent tweet, there will be people who receive things like that, who it does affect them, who might be struggling with their mental health, who might not be that thick-skinned to deal with it. For me, it doesn't bother me, but I just thought it was an opportunity to do that. I've had a lot worse from supporters of both teams. And as I've always said, and James and I have spoken about this loads before, if we were out for a beer on a Saturday night in Newcastle or whatever, we're in town, people come up and speak to you all the time, fans of any of the North East teams, and they couldn't be any nicer. I found them the most pleasant, warm, welcoming people. That could still be the same people who give you a little bit of abuse on Twitter because you can't see them, you know, and that's what it is. All these guys, even those two guys that I highlight last night, they'd probably see me on a night out or an afternoon or maybe at a match, and they'd probably speak to me and say hi and want to have a chat about football. And I just think that these social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, they really need to clamp down on this, because people are just saying things willy-nilly and not realising that there's someone on the end of it, you know? It doesn't bother me, but a lot of people would be bothered by that. So I just wanted to highlight. I mean, the thing that I was sent, it wasn't really that bad compared to some of the things that the footballers get or managers or certainly some of the stuff that Steve Bruce is getting. But I just thought it was time just to highlight one of them. I mean, if I went through my phone, I've got screenshots of probably hundreds of these things. That was just the most recent one.
Yeah, it's appalling. I mean, James, do you feel like it's kind of heightened and it's worse because we don't have that out? Like, I mean, personally, I've not done it. Like, I don't send abuse to people, but the people who do you think it's possibly because they don't have that outlet? Like, they can't go to the match, so they can't vent their feelings at the match. They can't go to the pub afterwards with their mates and have the conversation. So everything has to be on social media in their eyes. So do you feel like that's heightened because of that?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of resentment anyway floating around at Bruce, at Ashley for the history, but also towards the takeover not happening. That was such a massive disappointment to everyone, which we built ourselves up for, rightly or wrongly, so much. When that fell down, there's resentment towards the Premier League. There's resentment towards the way football's going in general, to be honest. And at the minute, we don't have that sort of match day experience that we all go at the match for. The football's always the worst part. We've always known that. But now we're left staring at the screen. More often though, people are by themselves staring at the screen, not with the mates. And they go on Twitter to let off steam, or go on social media to let off steam, and they don't really mean what they say, and it can be really, really damaging. I totally agree. I think it's all just heightened with wider circumstances.
Yeah,
I think it has been heightened certainly with Newcastle and what James highlights there about the takeover. But talking from my own experience, I've been working down here for 7 years, and that's been going on for the majority of the time I've been here. So I do think something that is getting worse and worse. I do think certainly a lot of people who are locked down at the moment are probably struggling to get out, and as James says, match to show their frustration, and that is why some of them do it. But there are others who are there who have been doing it a lot longer and will always do it. So I think it's good that we highlight things, and I think it's good that people are outed in a way. And it's I mean, I kind of felt a little bit bad about putting that out today, because I mean, these are probably just two normal guys. But I had a few people who said, no, you should probably just post one of them. And as I say, it was the last one that was there on my mentions at the time. And listen, it doesn't make any difference to me. But if that would then stop one or two other people from doing it to someone else who potentially could be hurt or affected by it. I mean, I did an interview with Joe Willock today, and he said that he had some really bad racist abuse this time last year. And he said it made him feel so down. And he said he's okay now. He said, but this needs to stop. He says he's aware of people who are depressed, who have committed suicide, whatever, as a result of some of the that's been said to them online. So if that's a professional footballer saying that, you need to sit up and take notice. And as I say, mine is nowhere near as bad as some. I've had worse than that, but it just shows. I mean, when I put that up, I thought I probably won't even get any traction at all. And it's amazing how many people have picked up. So if that does stop one or two people from abusing one or two people more, then for me that's a victory.
Absolutely, 100%. I totally agree with you. Yeah, but yeah, we just wanted to get that out of the way. Distance ourselves in a way, but also say that we just completely disagree. And while we might not want Steve Bruce in the job, we don't wish him harm. And if you're watching and you're doing it, just stop. Basically, that's what I want to say. And we'll Sorry, is someone going to...
I'm just going to say, what you need to remember with Steve Bruce, and obviously I speak to him most weeks about this, both on and off camera, and what you need to realise about Steve Bruce is, while he might not be doing the job that you want and as well as you want, he is trying his best. Now,
exactly. I mean,
and he's in this position, and it's his dream job, and he's wanted this job for so long, and he would hate to walk away from it thinking that he's not giving it everything. So if he was to, people keep saying to me, why will Steve Bruce not resign? Why is well, he won't resign because he's in his dream job and he wants to try and make it work. So, and if he was to go, by the way, it would not be easy for Newcastle to get someone else in. It was difficult enough to get Steve Bruce in last summer. So, you've just got to remember that there's a person on the end of that. He is trying his best. While he might not be doing the job you want, he is trying his best, and it must be hard for him going every single day with the outcome of trying to get a result on the Saturday, and there's all this noise going on around at the same time. I understand where the fans are coming from, because you are frustrated, and probably even more so just now on lockdown. But just sometimes before you say something or before you tweet something, just think before you do. Just think before you do, and it might have a positive consequence.
Yeah, I know, Keith, you tweeted the hashtag "be kind" at the end of your tweet today. Just be more than that. Be quiet. If you haven't got anything nice, just be quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the perfect way to end that little bit. I think if you've got nothing nice to say, just don't say anything. But right, so that's done. That's out the way. We won. We actually won again. I mean, what on earth is going on? So it was a hard-fought win. Laura, Southampton, talk us through it.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Even more than Everton, I thought the first half was brilliant. I loved seeing Willock. I thought he brought some attacking threat. I thought he tried really hard. I was glad he got the goal, because I think there was a few dodgy moments where he gave the ball away or could have given a pen away. But when he got the ball, it was such good vision from Shaw. And then St. Maximum knew where Willock was going to be, and I loved that interview after where Willock had said that he had told St. Maximum where to put the ball, and I think it's going to be exciting to see that. And then when we went 2-0 up, it was like dreamland. I was absolutely over the moon, and then obviously it came crashing down quite quickly when it went 2-1. And then I wrote down and I said in our group chat, Jess, we're giving too many free kicks away. And then sure enough, well, actually we went 3-1 up, didn't we? But then the free kick went in, and then I'm not too sure what Hendrik was thinking when you're on a yellow card. Then pull a player back when you know what's coming. And then after that, I thought personally it was only going to go one way, and I thought, oh, they're just going to go and hammer away here. But it was like credit where credit's due. Everyone was brilliant, and then you see the subs, and you're like, oh, what's he doing? Like, why is he bringing him on? And we've got no strikers, and everyone's just a defender. But credit, it paid off, and everyone worked so hard. And I think a few weeks ago that wouldn't have happened, we would have crumbled. But I think confidence from our performances the past couple of games helped. And Lewis made some vital interceptions, and Hayden cut off the line, and Dummett, I've got to bring Dummett in every single podcast.
We'll mention Dummett every week.
Dummett was just brilliant when he came on.
I know.
I really enjoyed it.
I know when we were talking about it earlier, Laura, you were on about the thing that impressed you the most was like the fight and the passion, like the desire to hold on. James, did you feel like that as well?
Yeah, I think the past few weeks everyone's seen the increase in energy, and just nice to see a little bit of intensity. It doesn't look like the players are going on the pitch there feeling sorry for themselves, scared to go forward. It looks like they've all got a bit of confidence. So yeah, from the word go, I just thought the first half was so impressive. I think we weren't relying on Almiron to do everything on the pitch, and we were allowing him to sort of play to his strengths. Maximum was at the races, and Willock was there. Finally, we had a centre midfielder actually making runs into the box to support the forward line. So it was great that first half, and the second half was probably a totally different game of just hanging on with like Dummett, as you say, Laura, and Hayden with great performances. So it was a really battling performance, and nice to see. It was a highlight of the season, definitely.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Keith, were you impressed with Willock's debut? I know you said you spoke to him earlier today. Were you impressed with Willock's debut?
Yeah, I thought he was excellent. I mean, the one thing Steve Bruce has been saying since he arrived, by the way, it's over a year and a half now, is that he wants a box-to-box midfielder who can arrive late into the box. That 16th minute of Saturday, that goal was exactly what he's looking for. And I think he just feels in the midfielders he's got in Longstaff's, probably more so Sean and Shelvey and Hendrick, they're more kind of holding midfielders who'll maybe protect, and he just wanted someone who will go free. And I think in that formation that they're playing, the kind of 4-4-2 with the diamond in midfield, it just gives him that freedom because he knows he's got Shelvey and or Hendrick there to do that. So I thought he was excellent. And also, bear in mind, they went down to 9 men and he was still on and lasted the full 90 minutes. This is a guy who hasn't played 90 minutes in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And he said to me today, he said, I was absolutely knackered at the end. Like, I didn't even know what was going on.
Oh.
Because he wasn't used to playing that amount of time, never mind with 9 men on the pitch. So, but he definitely really dug in for the team. And it's interesting, Laura, there you're talking about Paul Dummett. And I mean, Paul Dummett's not featured for ages, has he? But he comes in, plays whatever it was, the last 20 minutes, half an hour, makes a couple of clearances off the line, some great blocks, great defending. And he can go away from that and think, well, do you know what? I haven't been involved for the last year or two. I've had so many injuries. I wasn't in the squad for the second half of last season. He didn't make the 25-man Premier League squad. And here he is, comes in and helps Newcastle over the line to a vital 3 points. So he can say, do you know what? I'm actually back involved again and I'm producing. Yeah. And a difficult time for him the last couple of years that he hasn't done that. But yeah, I thought Willett was he was excellent. I thought he gave them something that they've not had for a long time. And you can already see him and St Maximin have got a little understanding. Like the way St Maximin passed the fullback. And I was watching the game. You're like, he's going to shoot. And I think the St Maximin of last season, or even of just a few weeks ago, they just drilled that in. Because it had that little chat and he just knocked it into his path, and it was a great slide rule finish. That was really interesting because James and I and a couple others decided to watch the match on Saturday over Zoom with a couple of beers, and he said to me at the end, we got to the end of the game, and bearing in mind he'd had a couple of beers, and he just kind of went, we've won again. We've won. It was just a surprise that we won a couple of games. And I think that's the feeling that I'm getting from all of you at the moment, is that it's just kind of come at a nice little time. Yes, you lost to Palace, but the performance was half decent.
Yeah.
It feels now like you've got a little bit forward momentum. Now, losing Callum Wilson today, huge blow. I do think that will affect you, and you've got 2 massive away games coming up. But at least for me, looking at you guys, it looks like you're smiling again, and it looks like you're actually enjoying it, and that's half the battle. That's all you want.
It doesn't take much, Keith.
I know, we're very fickle.
Very easily pleased,
Yeah, they say we have high expectations, but we don't. We don't have high expectations at all. We're very fickle.
I strung a couple of passes together and I was like, absolutely buzzing. It was pretty much a dream debut for Willock. Like you said, he played the 90 minutes. Fair enough, he was knackered at the end. He scored. Like we say, we think he's just him and St Maximin have just kind of clicked, which is what we need, because I've thought like recently it looks like our players have never met. Do you know what I mean? There's been times when they've been on the pitch and you're like, do you even know each other? But yes, it was good, very, very good. But Willock's debut led us to this week's main topic. So we're going to talk about memorable debuts. I put this out on Twitter and the response was insane. We just got so many. I did say good or bad, and we had a couple of bad, but the majority of them were good.
Yeah.
I'll start off with one, and then we'll just open it up and everyone can just throw in their ideas and stuff. 3 years ago today, Dubravka made his debut against Man United, where we won 1-0, and when I seen this, because that was always going to get a mention, but when the club account tweeted that was like they did like an on this day 3 years ago, and I realised that was today, I was like, oh, this has worked out absolutely perfectly for us. So I'm going to start off with Dubravka, and so many other people said that as well. Laura, I'll come to you. What are we saying?
I'm keeping it current. I wrote Willock, but what I wrote was just pretty much what we've already said, so I won't touch on that. But yeah, I was really impressed with Willock, but also Wilson, first game of the season when we won against West Ham.
You know what? No one said him.
Yeah, I didn't want to say what everybody else had said because I know Jesse will probably go through them anyway. So I just wanted to think, and my memory's shocking when it comes to games. I go to every home game and I just can never remember. But obviously I didn't go to that one, and I was in the gold medal, and we were all obviously separated, socially distanced, but everyone was just, we thought we were going to win the league. We thought it was brilliant. Everyone was amazing, and I was really impressed. So I said Wilson.
Yeah, I'm very, now that you've said it, I'm very surprised no one else said it.
I was quite happy because I wanted to be the first one to say it.
But like now that I'm thinking back to that game, that was Jeff Hendrick's debut, wasn't it? And I mean,
I write Flash Hendrick, but I didn't.
What happened there? Like when I thought we'd signed someone, but never mind. James, I'll come to you next. Have you got any memorable debuts, either good or bad?
Yeah, I've got a load written down here. I'll pick probably Sissoko at home to Chelsea. So I was a massive fan of Sissoko. I thought he was excellent on his day. And that first game when he played against Chelsea, we won 3-2. He scored 2 goals. But I think the highlight was when he barged Ashley Cole out the way on the far side in front of his stand and went past him like an absolute train. It was absolutely... And I think Sissoko for me on that game was probably one of the most memorable. Obviously, didn't end so well, him leaving, but still, he was one of my favourite players on his day, definitely.
Yeah, that one was mentioned quite a few times in the replies as well. Keith, is there anyone that particularly sticks in your head for a memorable debut?
Right, you've really thrown this one on me. I wasn't expecting that, and I thought James was just.
Go through my list.
From his notepad. I've actually got a couple of mine. So just since you started speaking, you'll probably tell me these are wrong. I remember coming down to, these are going to be wrong and I'm going to look stupid. I remember coming down to, must have been one of the first Newcastle matches, definitely not the first, but maybe the second Newcastle match I watched at St James's Park. And it was before I got the job down here in the North East, and I lived up in Scotland. And I came down and it was Newcastle against Aston Villa, and I'm sure it was Papa Cisse scored on his... He scored in his debut. Now, I don't know how memorable it was, but it's memorable for me because I obviously came to the game that day. I was down I'd been invited to the North East Sports Writers dinner that evening out in Durham. So I managed to get tickets for the game, went to the match with a mate of mine, and then went there. And I remember coming down to Newcastle and Durham, and I'd actually been in Sunderland the year before that for Sunderland against Newcastle in the Sunderland end. I got a ticket from the goalkeeper Craig Gordon that time. So just to make sure the Sunderland fans are happy as well, I was in the Sunderland end for that against Newcastle. And then I was
wearing the Newcastle shirt.
Sorry about that. And I was in the Newcastle end for Newcastle against Villa that day. And it's just weird to think now, that was about maybe a year and a half before I moved here. I remember just thinking I had such a special feeling about the stadium that day. And I just remember leaving saying that was just such a... Newcastle were flying high near the top of the league under Alan Pardew. Cisse scored. And okay, it might not have been that hugely memorable a debut in terms of how good his goal was. I don't really remember it. But I remember walking away from the stadium that day and thinking to myself, there's something special about this place. And it was just like a really nice day. And then here we are, 7-8 years later, and I've been down in a North East report for Sky Sports News. And it's just weird the way that works out. So there was that, but that was before my time here. The one that sticks in my mind from my time here is it wasn't his debut as such. It was his first start, but Matty Longstaff against Man United. Season. Yeah. I say it was memorable. I was working at that match and I turned up ready to do interviews, and I was so ill. I had to go home and I didn't even see the game. I had to watch it on the TV. I remember watching it going, that must have just been such an amazing experience for a young kid like that who supported Newcastle all his life to score against Man United on his debut in his Premier League start. So that's probably the one that stands out and that I've seen. But from a personal level, going to the match that day was Papa Cisse. So and that game that was in the Sunderland end was a 1-1 when I think it was, did Amiobi score the last minute equaliser, or I can't remember.
At home.
No, it was at Stadium. There was a late equaliser. Can't remember.
Milner? Might have been James Milner.
I remember. It was 1-1, and I remember Newcastle scored a late equaliser, I think, and we'd already left the stadium before. But we just came down for the day, so we used to do that quite a lot and go to the Newcastle or Sunderland games. So, but yeah, that's the ones that stick out for me. That's all I've got on my list, by the way. So don't ask me any others.
Oh, I've got plenty. Don't worry. So as ever, me and Laura went out to Twitter and asked asked our followers for their ideas, and we were honestly inundated. So we've said Dubravka, we've said Cisse, we've said Sissoko. There was loads. There was absolutely loads. There was one which is actually dubbed the greatest debut in English football ever, which was the wonderful Mickey Quinn, who scored 4 goals in a 5-2 win in his debut. I mean,
That's a debut,
that's insane. Like, that's ridiculous. We're buzzing about Willock on Saturday scoring 1 and he scored 4. There was Jonas Gutierrez against Man United. How true this is, I don't know, but I trust Johnny. So Johnny Sharples, who of Twitter fame, you might know him. He told me today that Alan Hansen said that Jonas's debut was one of the best he's ever seen from a player coming into the Premier League. Whether or not that's true, if it's not, Johnny, I'll be coming for you. We also had, who else have we got? We had Tim Krul. So his debut, yes, against Palermo. He was 18 years old and he was drafted in because Harper and Given were both injured. So it was just kind of like shit, what do we do here? Hired him in, and I mean, like, as they say, the rest is history. So I've still got loads and loads of good ones. There was another
Teoti as well. Was that Ben Arthur's debut as well?
That was Ben Arthur's full debut.
Yes.
His debut was a 2-0 defeat at home to Blackpool the weekend before, so he could actually feature in one of the bad.
But Teoti was. Someone tweeted us saying, "I hope you've got the stats." So I did a bit of Google, and I actually have. And I found them quite easily. Actually, he'd made 64 passes with 100% completion rate, 5 tackles, 2 interceptions, and the shame was that Ben Arthur scored a wonder goal, so took all the shine.
The shine was taken off him,
and then wasn't Ben Arthur? I think it was the week afterwards. Ben Arthur broke his ankle against Everton, Man City. Sorry, when everyone was thinking we've got a player here, that's when De Jong took him out, wasn't it, for the rest of the season? It was such a shame.
Yeah, the tweet about Teoti that I saw said he never ever gave the ball away in that game, and like you've just said, 100% completion on his passes. We're also, I'll quickly run through Tino Espria, who came on as a second half sub and changed the game. This is what people have been saying. Duncan Ferguson played against Wimbledon and scored 2. Jonathan Woodgate against Chelsea. And then we've got a couple of not so good, memorable, but for the wrong reasons.
Bad ones, and I know James has got some bad ones as well.
Yeah, my favourite one that we got sent in was Cisco against Hull, because he scored and then he never scored again. So they called him a catfish, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And then there's a couple more, but I'll let you take the lead. Laura, who have you got?
Well, I've got a few actually. I've got more bad than good. That's not very positive, is it?
Positive podcast.
I know, sorry. I've got Mitrovic v Southampton when it was 1-1, and he came on as sub, and no one really knew much about him. And with obviously Googled it, and with 2.7 seconds, he flew in on Matt Target down at the Gallowgate. And got a yellow card that could have been a red, and it could have obviously changed the game. And I just remember the whole stadium was absolutely buzzing, cheering, thought they were because obviously going in and a tackle like that on your debut, they love it, don't they? But I just remember I don't like it, so I was like, he's a liability, him and
I was get sent off in the next one, or the second or third one. I remember him getting sent off. Horrendous start, didn't it?
I just thought he was a liability, and I was very much proven right, I think.
Yeah.
And Willems as well. Is that how you say it? Willems or Willems? And I know the lads were taking the mick out of us when I said I wasn't a massive fan. And it wasn't that I wasn't a massive fan. I just didn't get the hype of wanting him to come back. But I know this wasn't his fault in his defence, and it was against Arsenal. And he came on at like 54 minutes and got thrown on. I think it might have been at left back or whatever. And it was so obvious. He didn't have a clue where he was meant to be. And he was looking around and he didn't know what he was doing. And then 4 minutes later, Aubameyang like just flew past him and scored.
But that was Bruce's first game. That was Bruce's first game. Well,
by the way, a lot of people haven't recovered from that. Like after that mistake from Steve Bruce, because I think they felt he put him in the wrong position or something, and he didn't know where he was going. Not some kind of Dubai.
3 left backs. He had like 3 left backs playing. One he had, and it was absolutely like Dummett, Willems, and I think he had like Manquillo playing on the left with Yedlin on the right. It was just an absolute shambles. And I remember walking out of there thinking it was when like I sit in the strawberry corner, and it was when a lot of people left the ground and refused to come back after Rafa left, and it was just empty, not seeing any of the flags in the Gallowgate as well.
Is that not the game that were boycotted as well? Because I don't think I was there. I was in the monkey bar, so I wasn't even there. I boycotted it.
I was there, and I know a lot of people said, "Oh well, it was still a good attendance. You didn't feel it," but I mean, I don't think the atmosphere has ever been felt since. To be honest, since that game, something was lost. It was a horrible game. That really horrible. Yeah.
To think that you were boycotting games back then, like what you would do to go to a match now, wouldn't you?
Oh no, I've never boycotted a game ever.
Any chance we get, I think we'll all be we'll be queuing outside for days beforehand. There was one more. So someone else mentioned Luke against Man United because they've never seen, in their words, was a young fit man be so slow. So that was a memorable debut for the wrong reason. And then my favourite one that we got was Babiaro and Boomsong against Yedden.
You had that, James, didn't you?
Yeah.
James, well, I'll tell you what, James, I'll let you take it away on this.
No, I think we ended up scraping by 2-0 in the end, but it was like the report which I read just to fact check what I was going to say was that Boomsong looked more like £8 rather than 8 million quid in the BBC Sport report the day after. So it tells you everything you need to know. I think we won I think we beat them in the pre-season 5-0 as well, something like that. But yeah, when we played them in the FA Cup, it was absolutely dreadful. Everyone was pretty embarrassed afterwards. Yeah, I think half time.
We were like six leagues apart or something at the time as well. Like it was. I must have read a similar thing to you when I was like fact checking as well. And I seen the thing where it was like he made an £8 million player look like an £8 player. It's just that says all you need to know about that debut, especially when there's 6 leagues apart. But yes, the response that we had was absolutely amazing. So I mean, keep that up when we're coming to you next week for our next topic. Talking about next week, I know Bestie mentioned this last night. He was saying it's weird because we're so used to playing. We've got like a weekend and then a midweek, and it's been like that for weeks and weeks now. And like we played on Saturday, and then we had like 9-10 days until our next game, which is Monday coming. And it's just kind of been like a little bit at a loss. Like I feel like it's ages ago since we've watched it. But we do have a game on Monday. We play Chelsea. Today, obviously, we found out Wilson's out for 6 to 8 weeks, and we've lost Shaw and we've lost
Manquillo
as well. That's the one, and we've lost Manquillo. Laura, how are you feeling about it? I mean, obviously, we're going in on the back of a brilliant result on Saturday, but do you think because that result was so, in the football world, because that result was so long ago, do you think that's going to be kind of forgotten and it's going to be like tarnished by the fact that we've lost 3 decent players?
I hope not. I think I am, and I know I say this every week, trying to be a bit more positive. And yes, it's Chelsea. Is it at home or away? Away. But,
it's
yes, I know Wilson's going to be a massive loss, and there's no beating around the bush at all. Like, I think I read just before we came on, he's provided 75% of our goals. But on Saturday, he didn't score, and we scored 2. So hopefully, like, I know he has lost a few players, but I'm going to still try and be a bit positive and just think, well, the momentum, and yes, it might have hit her a bit hard, but Mankillo went off quite early, and so did Wilson. So hopefully, like they've had 10 days. Is it 10 days? Yeah, they've had 10 days to sort something out. They knew they were long term, so hopefully that there's a plan in place and he knows what he wants to do, and they've had time to work on it. So
yeah, James, in terms of like obviously losing Wilson, in terms of replacing him, what route would you go down?
I was hoping you were going to ask someone else that first. I'm devastated by the loss of Wilson, because I think he's such a player. I think he's one of the best, probably the best striker I've seen since sort of Denver Bar, I would say. Who would I replace him with? I don't know. I mean, it depends who you're playing, I guess. I think given that it's Chelsea and they're on an absolute roll with a new manager bounce at the minute, I think we're going to be really, really up against it. I'd obviously take a point, I think, being realistic from the game. But I'd probably say if Maxman and Almiron are going to play and we've got a bit of pace, I just need someone who can hold the ball up, I think, for them on the break. Whether we use Gale in the break or perhaps, dare I say, Carroll, I think I'd probably go with Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
I can't bring myself to say Joe Linton, sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine.
No.
I think he will play. I think Joe Linton will play.
I think he will. Yeah, I think he will.
I think if it was a home match, I think he may play Dwight Gale, because I think he knows that Dwight needs a chance and he wants to give him a chance. He's a player he really likes. I think with Joe Linton, I think what you get from him in a away game like that, where it has to be a lot of tracking back, a lot of running, I think he's your man to do that, and he can kind of play up front on his own. I think St. Max might kind of drop in a little bit. But it was interesting to hear Bruce speak today. I just get the impression for this match, if he's got the defenders available, he might drop back into the 5 because it's Chelsea away. And I know it's worked well in the last couple of games, playing the 4 at the back and being a little bit more expansive, but I just get a feeling to go back to that defensive setup, try and nick a point. I mean, remember Chelsea they've won every game since Thomas Tuchel came in. The one thing that Newcastle might have in their advantage is that since they played on Saturday, Chelsea have played twice. So they played on Sunday against Sheffield United on Sunday night. I think they're playing just now as well, I think. Yeah. So they played 2 games since then. So that might give Newcastle a little bit more rest. Yes, they've got a number of injured players, but that might work in their advantage. But like James says, I think it will be a really tough ask to go down there and do anything. I think it will just be a case of trying to nick a draw if they can, and that would be as good a result as you could get. And I know that sounds negative, but you're against a top team there.
Well, no, to be honest, I totally agree with you. Like when we see the starting 11 and you see the lineup and you're trying to work out the formation and what have you, 9 times out of 10 when you see that it's set up defensively, you're annoyed because we're not going to give it a go. I think we're not in a position at the minute when we're playing the likes of Chelsea with the injuries that we've got. I mean, to me, Hendrick's not a big loss, but he started every game. Do you know what I mean? So that's at least 4 players out, we're still doubtful about several others. So, in my opinion, if we started with the 5 at the back and we started defensively and what have you, I wouldn't begrudge him this week. I think that's probably the best that we can hope for, is just to go in and kind of set up for. We could nick something maybe. I mean, we've done it before, especially this season. But for me, I would be going in and trying to defend from the off, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't be mad if that's what we did.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but just listening to some of the supporters speak and the ones I interact with online and speaking to James and a few other mates, I almost get the impression that you could almost accept a defensive setup, and it was like that under Rafa as well. If you're away to Man City or away to Liverpool or Chelsea, what you want to do is play in the front foot at home to Crystal Palace, at home to Leeds, even away to Leeds, and I think certainly for me watching it. It was getting quite negative, and the thing that kind of was a straw that broke the camel's back for Bruce and for a lot of us in the media as well, when he started getting a lot more criticism, was the lineup that he put in for Sheffield United away. I mean, it almost felt every single defensive-minded player was in that team, apart from Cat and Wilson isolated up front. And then if you looked at the bench that night, they had 8 attackers on the bench, and it just honestly looked so. It was just a really, really bad look at that time. And I think then he thought, right, it's the last throw of the dice here to try and get the supporters back inside, or even partially, I'm going to have to go for it a little bit. And I actually asked him today, I said, are you not kicking yourself a little bit that you didn't do this earlier? Because the last few games have shown that you've got the players that you can take the game to teams, you can have 60% possession.
Yeah. And I think everyone in the summer was quite pleasantly surprised by the signings that were brought in. We brought in a bit of pace, we brought in Wilson, brought in proven attack Premier League players, albeit we didn't spend a lot of money a game, but I think we were pleasantly surprised. I would say probably, again, like, it stemmed from the Brentford game. From the Brentford game, I think everyone was on the floor after that Brentford game, after that performance. Yeah. And every single game, no matter who were played since then, was the same tactics. Just sit back, no matter who it was. I think the Sheffield United, you're absolutely right. That was like just totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Even the pundits, the pundits then started to recognise that I had some sort of argument, because since the beginning of the season, since the beginning of last season, we've been told that we should be happy with what we're saying. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think even Steve Bruce recognised that as well. I mean, he knew how bad that Sheffield United match was. Why he picked that team that night, or why he has waited so long to change it into a more attacking setup that looks like it can bring you points, I do not know. And I've asked him that question a couple of times, and I can't fully get the answer. He has his reasons for it. Hopefully for you guys, he's changed it, he's turned it in enough time that you can do enough to not just stay in the league, but get yourself up there, and you're in a strong enough position should the takeover go through that you're in the Premier League. Because if you were to have got relegated, it would have just been end of days for anything. So hopefully it's happened at a good enough time. But it's just a strange situation looking back now, where you're thinking, what if you just done this from the start of the season? Could you be sitting in a much healthier position? I don't know. It's a very strange one that we might never get the answer to.
No, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? And I'll quickly come around and get some score predictions off you. So Chelsea on Monday. Laura, what are we saying?
1-1.
Oh!
I'm trying to be positive. It's a nearly.
that was so unexpected. James, what are you thinking?
1-1. Couldn't possibly say that we'd lose.
Oh, right, okay. Keith, I'm hoping I'm going to get some reality here.
This other way around. It started with me, so you finished on the positive one. I've got to say, I think the loss of Callum Wilson will be big for you. I think it will be for the next 2 months. I mean, he's the real focal point of the team. I think you'll probably see that on Monday. Yes, the team are going into it on good form, and the tails are up, but you're up against a Chelsea team with so many world stars there, and I just think it'll be so difficult to get something, and I can't see them not winning. So I think, if I'm being honest, I can see it being a home win, 2-0.
2-0. I think 3-0. I think I'd like to think that we'll have some sort of momentum coming off the back of the last few games, but I think the injuries that we've got on our side are just going to knock us a little bit. But yeah, we'll see, and we'll be back next week to discuss whatever happens on Monday. I just want to end by saying you may or may not have seen, but the channel actually reached 6,000 subscribers today, which is absolutely incredible. We've had an amazing week. We had Ben Jacobs on Monday, we had Ryan Taylor on Tuesday, we had Alan bloody Shearer last night, which just like Decker's little face when Shearer came on was the best thing I've ever seen. It was absolutely incredible. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone who's watching, who's liking, sharing, subscribing. And I also want to say a massive thank you to Chris, because he started this from absolutely nothing on his own. He's built it up. He's getting big names. It's just amazing, and I'm very proud of him, and I'm very, very proud to be part of the team as well.
People are going to think that Chris has run into a bit of money with all these.
No,
and there's something he's not telling us. Like these fees.
I'm sure Alan would have asked for a fee now. I'm sure he would have.
I know, yeah, but we'll have to start asking for money, Laura. We'll draw up a new contract. But yeah, just a massive thank you and congratulations to our Chris, because you've done amazing, and we're very, very proud of you. But yes, that will end it there. Thank you so much to our guests, to James. You've been brilliant. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Pleasure being on.
To Keith, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us tonight. It's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. And as ever, to my wonderful co-host, Laura, thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we'll be back next week with another positive-ish podcast. Who knows? Let's see what happens. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, and I will see you next week.